I want to tell this story. It reminds me of it. So for me, it's very difficult.
So you have 10 to 15 minutes. Take your time. But 10 to 15 people want to run to a basketball game, you know?
What's the best way to
I
do
think
that?
10 to 15 you got good, right?
I don't need 10.
Okay, go.
Hopefully 5 minutes.
No, do a full version.
The- okay, we have to go back. For me, it's like yesterday, but it's years ago in Iran. It was a Friday afternoon. I was 14 years old. And in Iran, you know, Mashadis in Iran, to be religious, if you went on Shabbat to Kanisa, and that was it. That was your religion. We didn't touch fire on Shabbat, and we didn't eat non-kosher food. And that was like your religious. We had no idea, but I couldn't read Hebrew till I was 25 years old. Even for by bar mitzvah, everybody went to classes with the Khodaros Mullah Yusuf and learn how to read. I couldn't read Hebrew, so they had to say one word and I repeated it, the whole Kadishli. And everybody else was better than me. I wasn't as good as the rest of the guys my age that they could practice Kadishli and say it when they put on their tefillin. I couldn't even say it. So here I am in Iran. I'm not very successful in studies, and I'm telling my parents, send me to America. They said, no, you're too young. Why you want to go to America? It's too early. Wait, finish your school. I was in 8th grade. And so Friday afternoon, me and a friend of mine, he was a very important kid, not Jewish. We went on a motorcycle ride from our homes to the airport. Furudgah Mehrabad. It had an ice cream shop on the 2nd floor. We said, let's go Friday afternoon. We have ice cream. We felt important. We're having 14-year-olds with a motorcycle. We go Friday afternoon, have ice cream. We felt really like we are big shots. So that time, there's a monument in Iran. You see it in all the pictures. It's like made of a stone going up, and all the
Meidun Shayad is a big structure.
At that time, they made the circular where they wanted to build this, and they put like 6 or 7 stones that was going to be part of this monument. These are the things I remember. To the south and to the north, there was no building. It was all like dirt. Before that, there were some homes, but Friday afternoon, like around 2 o'clock, there were no cars on the street. This Shabbat for the Muslims. There were no cars. So we are having fun going to the airport. In this circle, in this area, as we were going, this Volkswagen, the old Volkswagens, the bumpers were like a pipe, like 20 centimeter away from the car itself.
Sticking out.
And there was just like one pipe chrome. So as we were in this turn, we were going fast, young, you like to go fast. This Volkswagen in the turn came close to me, and just before I knew it, his bumper went inside my tire, front tire. And the second it hit my tire, I went up in the air. I was flying up in the air, and from the time I was thrown up and hit the ground, maybe 1 second, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, I don't know, but for me, each second I can talk 10 minutes on each second of it, because when it hit me, I'm going flying up in the air. And as I'm flying up in the air, and I'm going too far from the ground, and this Volkswagen that hit me, he slowed down, he put his head out of the window, he looked at me while I was going up in the air. He pushed his gas, and I saw this big exhaust, the smoke coming from his exhaust pipe. He started pushing to run away. So I'm coming, now I'm going up, and my motorcycle that was with me, I'm slowing down going up, and my motorcycle passed me, went higher than me. I'm looking at it's going up, and I'm looking around, it's nothing in the front of me. And as I'm looking this way, I saw there was one guy, only one guy that can help me, and he's in the corner of the northern road. His back to me. He was selling watermelon, and it was hot in the summer. He had this white napkin tied around his head to protect him from the sun. And I said, oh God, only one watermelon salesman is going to come to help my help now. This is not good. So my motorcycle, I was stand up, I was like, reached the end of I was flying up. My motorcycle started going down, and I started going down. And I saw my motorcycle hit the ground. After when I hit the ground, I was coming down, I remember, from the curve to the street, there was about 1 meter of concrete, and then it was asphalt. So I was coming down on the concrete area of that curve. When I hit it with my face and my body like this, flat. When I hit the ground, there was a sound like you popping a very big balloon. It sounded like pop. Something popped. And when I'm looking, open up my, like, when I'm back, or when I notice where I am, I was in a gray room. It was like concrete walls. It was like misty, it was like cloudy, it was like rutubati, moist. And I'm looking around, what is this? As I'm looking around, where is this room? What is this room? As I'm turning, looking at these walls, and I see this, like a big opening. It was like a tunnel. I remember when I first, years later, I went to TWA was an airline. They went bankrupt. In the Kennedy Airport, they had this
like a glass tunnel
walkway from the main lobby. It just looked like that. And another time I went when I first went to India, when we got from the plane to the airport, they had these connectors, and on the left hand side it had round windows. This is exactly whoever was the designer, probably he had the same accident, because that tunnel I was in, it had round windows on one side.
You went inside this tunnel?
Oh, okay. As I was in this room, in the center of this room, I saw this opening. I was gravitated toward this thing. I had no power of myself moving or going where I want to go, but I was like magnetically was pulled into this tunnel. And I'm now in the tunnel, I'm going. I see a window next to me. I pass this window. And when I reach the second window, I just forced myself. I went to see what is in it, and I turn, and it had an edge. I hold it. I look inside, as if it was like a window on top of this wall into our guest room. In Iran, we had like a dining room, living room into one room, and then we had a guest room that we only opened this room when we had guests. It's not like it's all open. In that room, exactly, it's our room. All the women in my family, my aunts and my mother, everybody, all the women close to our family, they're sitting in the room, all in black dress. And my mother was kind of passed out on the sofa like this. said, what's going on? What is this? Where is my dad? So I looked, I tried to look in the other room because they were connected, and I see the other room, all the men in our community sitting. My dad, he had little bit beard. So it's okay. He was sitting like this, and all the men in our family are my uncles. Oh, I just saw me, my dad, everybody sitting in the room. And I said, what is this? Why they are like this? And all of a sudden, my mom, she did something that shook me up. She went like this. She was like this. Farshid! She screamed. She screamed so loud. Farshid! I pushed from the window away. I said, oh my God, this is my funeral. I died. Motorcycle accident. I'm dead. What is this? And I'm passing. And I saw there were 7 windows. I didn't look at the next ones. I was just thinking, what's going on? What happened? Where am I going? What happened to my family? And all of these things. And as I reached the certain area that the tunnel became transparent, and from that moment I started speeding so fast through the space, and I went through planets, and I went through a planet that had big river of rocks going around it, these big rocks, and I said, oh, it's gonna hit me. But the tunnel, even though it wasn't going straight, it was going right, the stones weren't touching it or something. So I knew I'm not going to be hit with these big rocks. And then I saw many planets, and I was looking at them, and then what I saw, 30 years later, NASA produced the same pictures that they sent like 10 years ago. They send out these new pictures they sent something 10 years ago, 20 years ago, now they're sending the pictures. So I saw these, exactly the same things NASA is publishing. I saw it when I was traveling through this tunnel. And I kept going very fast all through these planets. And at one moment, I felt such a calmness, such a tranquility. And then I saw there was light at the end, but the end, whenever I was turning up, down, I wouldn't reach the end. But I could see the end. When I looked up and I saw this older, very old man, white beard, with white, like a hand-woven cotton dress he was wearing. Because the reason I said hand-woven, because in Iran they used to have something they called give, so my grandfather had one, so it was like woven by cotton. So I remember the look of it, the way it was made. So I know one of you going to clothing business, I have a patent on that. Weaving cotton, one dress.
2 to 3 minutes.
Huh?
Yeah, 2 to 3 minutes.
I have to finish in 2 minutes?
2 3.
No.
Yeah, nobody in rush? No rush? Okay, so take your time.
So I'm looking at this. I said, who is this? Who is this? And then the voice comes. Voice says, this is one of your fathers.
Farsi?
I don't know the language because I didn't have a mouth to speak. It's all in my mind. I'm asking in my mind, what is this? And the answer comes. And I say, what is this feeling that I have? This such a feeling of love. And I saw from that tunnel, end of the tunnel, rays of light were coming out to this side, and as they were coming here, they were like melted away. So I asked, what are these? He says, this is the God's love that sustains the universe. It's sending this way to sustain the universe. In Farsi probably, because I keep repeating it now, I say it in English. So whatever question I asked this source, I knew this source of the answering me knows all the answers. So, and I saw there was a light from behind the tunnel, that from the one side of the tunnel, there was light coming. I said, what is this light? Now, this part of it, when I told Rabbi Chaim, said, no, don't say it, because we don't know how God is and if he has a light or he doesn't have a light. So we shouldn't say it, so you have to judge it yourself. Because the Rabbi said, we cannot have an illusion that God has a light. But the voice said, that light is a light coming from God. And once you see it, once you pass the gate, you cannot come back again. And at that moment, I'm thinking, come back again. So I said, I have a chance to go back. I said, I want to go back. They said, why? I said, because of my mom. I said, what do you mean? I said, look, my mom, I had a brother 1 year younger than me. And he overdosed when Tony Ramanan and his family, they were coming to America. They bought these pills so they can take in the airplane so they won't feel bad, because that time the airplane shook a lot, everybody threw up. So they had to take these pills. And Tony Ramanan and my brother, they find these capsules, which was that time easy to open, and they thought this candy. They started eating it. So Tony took one, my brother took two. He was more aggressive, I guess. He took two, and they come in, both of them on the floor.
Drowned, no? You said he drowned.
No.
He died there?
They overdosed, and there was only one day in the history of Tehran, in the recent history, that the taxis went on a strike. That was the day the taxis were on a strike. So they take these two kids, they want to take them to a hospital. There was a English hospital. They take them there. They said, look, there is only one machine that can wash the stomach of these kids, and since this guy is in a better chance to live, we're going to use it on him. Sorry, we cannot help you. So thank God Tony Rahman is, Baruch Hashem, is here alive. And my brother died in my mother's hands. And this affected her. And every day she used to go to a room when I was 5-6 years old, and I hear, in Iran you go to school when you are 7 years old. So here she goes to school. When she goes to the room, she locks the door, she starts talking. So one day, as the person I used to be, I go hide under the bed before she goes to the room to lock the door. So she comes to the locks the door, she opens closet, she takes a book out and starts reading the book. And she was pouring her heart out that how much she suffered by this accident. So I told him, look, if you take me, she will die. That's why I want to go back. And at that moment, where I was moving in that tunnel, I stopped. I stopped moving. I'm in the standstill motion. I'm not moving. And I'm waiting to hear an answer, if they're going to return me or not return me. And at that moment, something they put on my head, and like a yogurt or jello, they sucked me into a capsule. So before that, I couldn't see my body. Even when I was in the capsule, I couldn't see because there wasn't a body. It was just like a soul and a spirit, that who we really are. This body is only a material thing, that it really blocks all the love that exists in the world, all the God's powers that is around us, this body is blocking it.
So when you were there, you felt like
Oh, the tranquility, the love I felt, you cannot feel it here. Nobody would, in the right mind, nobody would want to come back. Nobody. If God forbid anybody dies, once you go there, you feel that tranquility and that love and that comfort and that confidence that everything is under control in this world by God. And if you have small kids and something happens, you know that they're all going to be fine. Because you see there was such a control over the whole universe. You feel it, you understand it. And at that moment that I requested, they put me into this capsule, and just moments later I was pushed out of this capsule. When I was pushed out, I just like dropped into this same room I was in the beginning. And I said, okay, where I am? He says, go to the opening. And I see the opening just like this door here. I went to the opening, and I see down about 8 feet, 10 feet, I see my body flat on the ground, and I only see my body on the floor. And I said, what do I have to do? They said, you have to go back to your body. I said, how? Somebody from the back pushed me, and I fell from that thing. And as I fell, I went inside my feet, and I put my hand into one hand, and I tried to put this hand in the other hand, and my head wouldn't go into my head. I made one hard push, and my head went inside my head. So there's two heads. One is the spiritual head, one is the material head. So my spiritual head went in. As soon as I pushed my head inside my head, and I saw the light of the sun, Friday afternoon sun, from behind my eyes. That already, I know I'm back. And I said, what do I do now? They said, you have to get up. I said, I can't get up. They said, you have to breathe. If you breathe, you can get up. I said, I can't breathe. And I was suffocated. I was so I'm going to die again. I'm dying again. And then two people lifted me up. As they lifted me up, I started to breathe. As I'm breathing, I look around. It's like hundreds of people in Iran. You know, when a car falls into a ditch, like all of a sudden there's 2-3 people in the street. Hundreds of people come to help to take it out. In Iran, it's like a biggest fun. Something happened, they all come. So hundreds of people, and then I hear these words that مرده زنده شد, the dead came back to life. I said, no, I'm not dead, don't worry. And people were going back. They were like scared of me. They were going to say, no, don't be afraid, I'm not dead. And then this guy is in a white uniform, in a white ambulance that came from the cemetery, and there was a metal brancard next to me, and apparently there was also a white blanket on me. In Iran, when there was an accident, somebody had to come from police department, file a report. Then they were allowed to take that person to the cemetery. So the guy filled up the report that I am dead, but when I came back to life, just من نوشتم شما مردی. گفتم نه نمردم، اشتباه کردی، من زندم. So at that moment, you know, the Iranians are very helping kind of a people. Like if somebody needs help, they all come to help. It's not like here, if somebody falls down, everybody passes by, nobody cares. Over there, they all come and help you. Somebody came, hold my hand. Somebody else came, took the motorcycle. Somebody said, can I give you a ride home? Do you know your address? I don't remember. They can tell how to get there. Somebody volunteered to take me and my bike to the house. So they bring me to the house. I come home. I don't have the key to the house. I have to stay outside of the house till somebody comes open the door. Or maybe I lost the key at the accident. I don't know. I didn't have a key.
You weren't injured?
I touched my head and I see there's a big bump here. It's like this. I said, oh my God, what is this? I took my coat and I hanged it over this. So I saw my mom and my sister coming in the street, so they shouldn't see it and panic. Try to hide it. So my uncle said, "What are you saying?" I said, "I don't have a key." He said, "What is on your head?" I said, "No, nothing." He said, he yelled, "What is this?" I said, "I fell down with the motorcycle. I had an accident." Let's go. Quickly, she's panicking. They take me to first to a drug over there in Iran. When you get sick, they take you to the drugstore. The guy in the drugstore is a doctor too. He says, "Here, I give you this medication. You really don't go to your doctor unless you really need to go to a doctor." They took me to him, and he says, "Look, the amount of the injury, he must have internal bleeding. He's probably not going to survive the night." He told in front of us. He told my mom passing. So we go to another doctor. The doctor said, "Look, we cannot do anything. You just have to make sure you shouldn't fall asleep. You should sit next to him, talk to him, make sure he doesn't go to sleep. Otherwise, he could die in his sleep. Till the morning, see what happens." So I'm going to home, and my dad comes, and my dad was always calm. Once I took his car and I damaged it, I junked it, and he just smiled, says, "Don't do it again." I mean, he was very cool about everything. God bless him. So he comes sit next to me with a chair, and I'm in bed, and he said, "Dad, I want to tell you something. I had this experience. I saw this man, and they said he's like your father or something. He had a white beard, and he was telling me, come this way, and you could say he was like telling him, come this way to this gate, whatever it is." And so I saw all of these things, and somebody talked to me, and I talked to them, and they brought me back. I went back inside my body. My dad said, "Farshid, don't tell anyone. Mashadi community, you talk like that, they won't give you a wife. They say it's crazy. Keep it to yourself. Don't mention it to anyone." So I said, "Okay, Dad." I kept it to myself. And a month later, I heard that Pari Khanum Levian was pregnant at a little bit older age that regular people get pregnant. And they would have said, "Oh, what happened? Must have been an accident, this. So we don't know. So a year later, when I left Iran, Susie was like a month old, and in the Bagale Dashab Darim Levian, and
Is
he was
his wife now.
feeding her, and I'm sitting next to Dashab Darim. He said, "Dashab Darim, I'm going next week to America. What should I do?" He says, "Over there is the streets are from gold." He was a very optimistic person. This is gold, this, and he was feeding Susie and all of that. So I didn't understand all of that. Years later, I was 25 years old, and I was coming to New York. I lived in Miami. Coming to New York to get married, looking. So we went to Shimi Levy's father's house, Dashto Levy. He was like a very holy person. He said, "Farshid, my neighbor, next door neighbor is Dashab Levian. دخترش سوزیک رو بگیر." گفتم سوزیک is 10 years old. داشب دارم. I'm 25. She's 10. No, من میدونم بهت میدن. برو سوزیا بگیر. گفتم okay داشب. Okay. So about 10 years later, when I was praying to God, I said, "God, why I can't find a wife?" And everybody religious, you want to get married faster, you want to build a family. And I said, "What is it that I can't do that?" And later on, my wife figured it out that it was my destiny to die, and I had no bishert here. I had no wife. After I came back, God had to create a wife for me. So that's why after my accident, Susie was born, and we were 15 years apart. And when I told my mom, I want to get married, they said, "Go for Susie. She's this family, good." I said, "But she's young, they won't give it to me." And they are, mashallah, very well to do. Probably she has a lot of good khaskat. I said, "No, برو بهت میدن." رفتم اونجا گفتن نه Susie, she would go out with you. Baruch Hashem, it happened. It was like min hashamayim, everything was made to order for all of us. We just don't see it in this world. We think, or even for business, a lot of things happen in the business that you think we are doing it. It's not really us. When we get married, it's not really, it's all planned for us. It's there outside. We just have to have faith We don't need to hear this story to have faith. There is Olam Haba. You should know, you should understand. 30 years ago when me and Mashiach, we were just trying to get closer to religion, in Mashadi community, we were considered idiots. So look at these fanatics. They don't want to touch light on Shabbat. They're fanatics. So we were labeled fanatics. There was a lot of ignorance at that time. You live in very good times. You have no idea. You live in such a good times that you can be Shom Shabbat or not Shom Shabbat. You can be religious, not religious. The community accepted everybody the way we are. We all live happily with each other. We get married with the girls married with the Shom Shabbat guys, the guys married with the non-Shom Shabbat girls. Everything is acceptable today. Years ago, none of this was accepted. I mean, you were outcast, and you were not educated. They call it dehati. And Baruch Hashem, we met a lot of these big heart doctors that they were Shom Shabbat. We brought them to Kanisa. They made the speeches. That all these people that they thought to, if you are a Shom Shabbat, you are backward. You are not smart. They say, wow, the greatest heart doctor in America is a Shom Shabbat guy, and the greatest lawyer in America is a Shom Shabbat guy, and the number one advisor to the president of America is a Shomer Shabbat guy. So to be a Shomer Shabbat, it really doesn't separate you from rest of your family. We're all connected to God, and all of in different ways. We worship God, we love God, we keep as much as we can keep, we learn as much as we can learn. But at the same time, we have to understand, as we were put in this world for a certain reason. We are part of a Jewish community that, every human being on this earth have its own connection with God. Everybody, in different ways. You don't have to be. Today, somebody sent me a text. I have it on my phone. It's Mr. Muhammad from some country that I want to become Jewish. So I said, look, I wrote back, we don't advertise people to become Jewish because we believe there's a 7 laws of Noachide, that if you want to keep, everybody has connection to God, you can keep God in the way you want. You don't have to convert to Judaism. Convert to Judaism comes with a lot of responsibility. You don't want to do that. It's easier for the Jews because if you don't keep, we keep, we don't keep, we are still Jewish. But for you, if you want to convert, then you have to keep every commandment. It becomes very difficult for you. I recommend you don't convert. Just follow the 7 laws of Noachide, the laws, that there is a God, there is rules, there is decency, and all of that should be enough. You don't need to convert, but if you decide to do it, go consult the Orthodox rabbi and follow his instructions and do it. So we are living in a very different times. A lot of things are happening that you couldn't imagine 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 years ago. The things, the way they're happening in the world, the way the non-Jews are coming out to support the Jews and to accept Israel as the prime minister of India 2 days ago, he said in front of a gathering of 10,000 people and on the TV and video everywhere, he said we're a country of 1 billion people and this is a country of 8 million people, and all the knowledge is coming from these 8 million Jewish people.
Miracle.
This is Kiddush Hashem. This is beautiful. Well, I hope that you all be successful in your learning, in your lives. You are young, you have dreams. I wish all of you just keep a close contact with God at all the time, private talking with God for whatever you need. And even it doesn't come, like for me, if I ask for a wife, I'm upset 10 years later, you are not giving me a wife. There is a plan. You just have to have patience for the pieces to fall into place. Don't rush. Don't think everything you can get right away. Wait for it to come. It will come. You have to work hard. You have to be a uniter in the community. You have to bring peace to your family and to your community, and you have to learn as much as you can from Mashiach because he's a very, very old soul. He is not a regular person. All his life, when he meets anybody, he said, listen, you have to do this. He tells everybody, bring everybody closer to religion. All this time, I know him for 30, 40 years. Every time he met anyone, Jew or non-Jew, he said a word of God to them to bring them closer to God and to their faith. Thank you. Good night.
Welcome back. Welcome back.